Yo, stay wavy TV, ride the vibe with me, splash through your screen, drip clean like the sea, high tide energy, never on mute.
R&B superstar Chris Brown's $500 million defamation lawsuit over a history of violence documentary has officially been dismissed by a judge. So this is a documentary that came out back in 2024. It's called Chris Brown, A History of Violence. Chris Brown basically filed a lawsuit last year in January, basically accusing him of defamation, and a judge dismissed it. So a judge is siding against Chris Brown, and the judge is basically saying that they think that the documentary is fair based off of Chris Brown's violent history. So let's get into it. As reported by Billboard, a court order issued on Monday, January 12th, dismissed the $500 million defamation lawsuit which Chris Brown filed against Warner Bros. Discovery and Ample Entertainment. The 36-year-old singer-songwriter filed the lawsuit last January and accused the team behind a project of promoting and publishing false information in the pursuit of likes, clicks, downloads, and dollars. The documentary delves into the various assault and sexual abuse allegations against Chris Brown, including a woman who alleged that he R-worded her on Diddy's yacht back in 2020. In his lawsuit, Brown's legal team asserted that the woman's claims have been disproven by the inconsistencies in her account and how she concealed various text messages that could have been used as evidence as she reported the alleged incident to the authorities. The court has personally viewed the entire documentary. The documentary recites most of the inconsistencies, plaintiff notes, including the existence of the text messages. Judge Colin Lace wrote in the dismissal order, claiming that the documentary presents a balanced view. Media defendants thus presented a fair and true report of the woman's statements in the judicial record and proceedings. Brown's lawsuit also accuses Warner Bros. Discovery and Ample Entertainment of defaming him, with the inclusion of an interview from writer Sketchy Cow, who said that Brown has a predisposition for punching women in the face. However, the judge argued that Brown previously admitted to punching the singer Rihanna, and Brown presents no evidence that Sketchy Cow's opinions are false. Back in 2009, Brown assaulted his then girlfriend Rihanna, leaving her with severe bruising on her face. That same year, he pleaded guilty to a felony assault, and was ordered to serve 5 years of probation, 1 year of domestic violence counseling, and 6 months of community service. Several other women have accused him of violence, including a woman who alleged that he R-worded her on Diddy's yacht in 2020. The lawsuit, however, was dismissed. Okay, guys, I understand that Chris Brown is no angel, right? Nobody's an angel. Everybody makes mistakes. We all know that Chris Brown has a violent history, okay? We have the Rihanna situation. We also have the situation with Frank Ocean. A lot of people forgot about that. Chris Brown did assault Frank Ocean. We also have the situation with Chris Brown and Drake, when Drake started dating Rihanna, and Chris Brown and Drake ran into each other and they got into a situation, right? We also remember the whole Karrueche thing, where Chris Brown was basically stalking Karrueche. You guys remember when Karrueche was, basically trying to get away from Chris Brown, and her and her friend was getting into a limo, and Chris Brown forced himself into the limo. And when one of Karrueche's friends was trying to stop her, he told her to move before he does something. So listen, I get where the judge is coming from, but at the end of the day, this woman alleged that Chris Brown R-worded her on Diddy's yacht back in 2020. Chris Brown exposed the text messages that this woman was lying, okay? This woman was consensually in a relationship, she was doing things with Chris Brown consensually, right? Chris Brown showed the text messages. The lawsuit was dismissed, which means that the court saw the text messages. They didn't see any evidence of Chris Brown doing that, so it got dismissed. This is in this documentary that came out that is basically lying on Chris Brown, saying that he did something that he was not proven to do. So the fact that the judge is basically saying, oh, we feel like the lawsuit isn't lying because of what Chris Brown did to Rihanna back in 2009. Judge, it is 2026. Should we hold the judge accountable for something that they did back in elementary school or middle school or high school or college? That was 2009. It's 2026. How many years is that? Let me pull out my calculator because I was not the best at math. That was 17 years ago. You're basically saying because of something that happened 17 years ago that did not involve the R word, you think it's okay for them to put out a whole documentary of accusing this man of one of the probably the worst thing a man could get accused of, which is tearing down his character and his reputation, which already is torn down. Chris Brown has already permanently messed up his reputation. He went from having the potential to be the next Michael Jackson to being a talented, successful artist that has had issues in his personal life. Okay? For the most part, Chris Brown has been staying out of trouble. But you're telling me that it's okay for a company to put out a whole documentary accusing this man of something that he has not been proven to do, and they can make millions of dollars off the documentary, and it's just okay? Chris Brown, you should appeal this lawsuit, bruh. Take some notes from Drake. Okay? Hey, Drake lost the lawsuit, bruh. He filed an appeal. Chris Brown, take notes, bruh. Take notes from your fellow light-skinned brother Drake. File an appeal. Chris Brown, you have the money to go to court. You have the money to get the top-tier lawyers that you need. I think that you should file an appeal, and I think that you should try to file a motion to get this case seen by a different judge, because obviously this judge is a big Rihanna fan, and obviously this judge does not like Chris Brown. And I think that there's a lot of biasness that this judge has when it comes to Chris Brown. Obviously, when this judge hears Chris Brown's name, the first thing that this judge thinks of is Rihanna's face after what Chris Brown did to her. And that's not fair, because he made a mistake. He paid the time for it, went to prison, did his 5 years probation. And for the most part, he stayed out of trouble. There's no evidence that he physically, abused any women after the Rihanna situation. This man has a daughter. He has a son. This man should be able to, move on and get judged by what he's done recently, bro. I don't think that's right that the judge is basically saying you could just put out a whole documentary including things that's not true, accusing you of one of the worst things a human can do on this planet, and it's okay. Yeah, they can make money off of that, even though it's cap. Because if somebody did a documentary about this judge and did that, all hella break loose. But because it's Chris Brown and he's an R&B singer and he's famous and he made a mistake against Rihanna when he was in his early 20s. Maybe was he? How old is Chris Brown? Because that was 2009. Let me see. How old was Chris Brown when that Rihanna situation happened? Yo, I'm gonna go ahead and guess that he was in his early 20s. Let me see. Chris Brown is 36. So let's do 36 minus 17. Bruh, Chris Brown wasn't even 20 years old when that Rihanna situation happened. He was 19 years old, bruh. He was still a teenager. He was a kid. He wasn't even legally able to drink alcohol when he made that mistake. Do you know how many people make mistakes like that in their teenage years? Some people make mistakes like that in their 20s and 30s. The man was 19 years old when that Rihanna situation happened. And there's two sides to a coin. There's two sides to every story. We've heard rumors that the reason why Chris Brown did that is because she allegedly gave him herpes. I don't know if that's true, but what Chris Brown did reveal is that I guess Rihanna was upset with Chris Brown about another female, some type of situation he had going on with another female. and Rihanna kicked Chris Brown in the face. She hit Chris Brown multiple times before he reacted. So don't sit there and act like Chris Brown just crashed out for no. He was hit first. Now, does that mean he should have did what he did? No. But I don't think a man or woman should put hands on each other. I'm a fair person. I'm not with that. Oh, you can do this, but no. As a woman, you shouldn't put your hands on a man. As a man, you shouldn't put your hands on a woman. Period. So that's my thoughts on this situation. I hope Chris Brown files an appeal and wins. And let me know what you guys think about this, man. I know there's a lot of people out there that don't like Chris Brown, but a lot of y'all that don't like Chris Brown because of what happened with Rihanna, you got some men of your own family that put hands on people and you never called the cops. You just act like it didn't happen. You show up to the family reunion, you show up, you see him every day, and you don't do anything about it. So keep that same energy with everybody. It's your boy Wavy, Stay Wavy TV. Make sure y'all subscribe, thumbs up the video, share the video. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section.
I'm out. Yeah. Welcome to the vibe. Stay wavy in the mix. Got the culture on the rise. Tap in, hit subscribe, ring that bell, let it ride. We gon' surf through the trends, give you game every time. Reviews, new views, keep it honest, never fake. If you're looking for the wave, this the channel you embrace. Stay